What is the most surprising secret someone has revealed to you? A friend of mine has a micropenis. Fully erect it is about 1 inch. Flaccid it is. Like. Inside him. A friend in college revealed that she was the product of incest between her mother and grandfather. From what I remember of the story, she was told by her mother that it was consensual but they are no longer together. Although her father is still around and a part of the family. Very drunk guy once told me he'd been paid to blow up a meth lab. Presumably with people inside. He had the right kind of military and personal background to make that claim absolutely believable. And I have no doubt he did it. I don't, however, know why he told me. I don't think he remembered telling me afterwards. And I wasn't about to bring it back up. Really rich guy. Genius by all accounts. Academic. Well decorated. Business guru. Etc. And honestly, a really great guy. So he sort of mentored me. And he liked to tell stories. One day he gets drunk and basically tells me, yeah, all my businesses lose money. I'm not sure anything I've done is really very valuable at all. I got lucky and invested in the right dog food company and made around $100 million and that's basically how I am where I am. It was unreal. But I'm very happy for the guy. A girl once told me about how a man who was stalking her drove over a boy she was dating and this ended his life. My sister told me she dated a coke dealer who made $30k a month. She broke it off with him after realizing how much trouble she could end up in by being associated with him. At least she realized it. I'm honestly surprised she didn't get blindsided by all the shit he could buy her. I had an ex brag about how her drug dealer ex made $25k a year selling drugs. So I googled AVG salary ranges for her. We broke up a week later. My friend telling me she used to be an escort. My conservative Christian mother told me she was currently growing marijuana behind the pond. She'd been working on it for years. She dated her brother for a while. 2 months into a relationship. She mentions that her brother will be visiting from Chicago soon. Cool. Will be nice to meet some family. She also mentions that they only have sex when neither are in a relationship. I'm still not sure if she was dropping a hint about wanting to be single in the near future or just giving me information I would rather not know. Either way, I dumped her that night. I had a friend in high school that told me he sucked a dog's dick to see if he was gay. That was pretty surprising. To see if the dog was gay? My best friend and his wife had been trying unsuccessfully for years to conceive a second child. Then one day his wife told us she had secretly been taking birth control the whole time. That their first child was more work than she thought it would be and she didn't want a second. WTF. Looks like they could use some couples counseling. My first quarter of teaching. I taught freshman English. So it was a rookie teacher, M. 26, and a room full of kids 3 months out of high school. I was amazed by how many female students would blurt out their molestation, rape, abuse histories during my office hours. We'd be talking about their essay about Thanksgiving dinner or whatever and then wham. A complete breakdown. I was in completely over my head and referred them to the University Women's Center for counseling. It got so bad that the center called and asked basically WTF is going on in your class? As for me, I found it emotionally draining. It's happened a couple times since. Here and there. But nothing like that first quarter. Not crazy, but a close friend I've known since 2001 told me he was bisexual a few years ago. He also said that he'd long had a crush on one of the guys in our close circle of friends. I could tell it was difficult for him to come out with it. So I told him to tell me some other time when if he felt more comfortable. It's been a while and we've never discussed who that friend was. But obviously, part of me is curious. Edit. Lol for all the homies who made the be curious joke. Without any context of our relationship interaction. I can understand people thinking it's me. It's the romantic conclusion. I just think it was hard for him to talk about because it was hard for him to talk about. I mean, it's still possible it's me. But I don't think it matters anymore. Could be you. A friend of my parents randomly told me he was my father. A few years ago, a friend of mine confessed to me that she had walked in on her husband with another man. I knew he was bisexual, and that their marriage hadn't always been the best, so this wasn't a surprise. After a few months, she started pulling away from everyone. Specifically our gay friend Adam, who seemed to hold no sympathy for her situation. He always played the "I told you so" card and kept telling her to stop trying to fight for her marriage. She and her husband had 3 children and had been married for over 10 years. They finally overcame it and are happy again. A few months ago I asked her if she felt cutting us all off had any effect on mending her marriage. She said, "Well, cutting off Adam helped. Maybe he had told me so. But it's not really fair when he's the one with his mouth on my husband's dick when I walk in the door." Turns out Adam wasn't even gay. He just wanted to be right. A fellow I am living with has killed someone. My Bill was getting mugged at gunpoint a couple months ago. During the fight, he managed to pick up the guy and throw him down a flight of stairs. Head first. Guy broke his neck and died the next day. He brought it up during dinner one night and I just sat there in shock. Never knew anybody that killed a person. It was self-defense and he was congratulated by the cops since the mugger managed to rob 11 people that month. As I was leaving grad school, my prof and academic advisor introduced me to his mistress. I couldn't stand the asshole. So yeah, I was pretty surprised he entrusted me with that information. Worked with a girl when I was 16. She was 17. We're talking about a date she had with a co-worker the night before, and out of nowhere she throws in the fact that she's had 3 abortions. Only 2 more on her punch card to get the 6th one free. The number of girls I've talked to who have been sexually abused shocked me how common it was. I have an acquaintance that revealed, while drunk, that him and his brother used to give each other blowjobs. His brother killed someone execution style at a party 2 weeks after he told me that. Throwaway time. A credentialed actuary once told me they never graduated from college and lied about it on their job application. A couple of weeks ago my friend drunkenly told me she's been in love with me for the past 3 years. She'd always joked about us getting married, but I genuinely thought it was just jokes as we have both been in relationships for the past year or so. So yeah, that was pretty surprising. A professional in a high-ranking position once told me he ate dog biscuits as treats when he was a kid. They aren't that bad. Except the green ones. The green ones were gross. My aunt caught me eating her dog's biscuits. Well, I was actually sharing them with the dog. Every time I came over she made sure she had some extra Milk-Bone biscuits for me and Buster. When my parents heard about it they were hysterical. I stopped when I was about 8 and realized that they taste like cardboard. One of my very religious friends had an abortion. That's one secret I'll be taking to the grave. Her family would disown her if they ever found out. Friend told me that her dad fingered her one time. Likes to wrestle with her. Whoa. Gross. That my supposedly morally superior GF was in fact cheating on me. At a previous job, I found a wallet in the office. I opened it up and noticed one of the pictures had my manager in it and returned it to him. Upon greeting him, I said he had a nice family. He kinda laughed smugly and said, "Which one? The one here in town or the one 200 miles from here?" I realized that the pictures of different women and kids weren't just relatives. Rather his 2 families. Had my 8th grade English teacher tell me after class that the reason she showed up with wet, red eyes every morning was from crying because her husband had just left her for an 18-year-old. She was 40-ish. Not one, but 2 guys from middle school that I was never even very close with have messaged me on FB after years without seeing each other and discussed their interest in changing genders. I was only mildly surprised by their secret, It's not really a big deal to me, but I was hella surprised that they trusted me to share that information with when the majority of their close friends and family didn't know. It's an honor to be trusted. But at the same time, WTF. I could be an asshole and tell everyone. Like you just did on Reddit. Jokes? I was on a soccer field as a defender. Because their team was small. They got some girls on their team to make up the numbers they needed, technically because it was meant they weren't supposed to be there. But nobody would ever report it, and this girl who I am marking has been sitting up our end of the field for a while. Because we were dominating their team. So I got to talking. As I do when I'm marking someone for like 5-10 minutes of no action down our end. And she just says yes. I am the girl who put dog food in her PSSY and got her dog to eat it out. You don't have to ask. And I'm not talking about it. I was stunned. I hadn't heard about this. But apparently it was known by a fair few people. Really caught me off guard. My friend's brother. I shot and killed a guy who was trying to rob me about 10 years ago. The cops came. But didn't even arrest me. They knew the guy as a repeat offender. Friend I used to work with casually told me one time that he used to go to blood drinking parties. Did not see that one coming. My old boss was having problems with his nut job wife again. He was going on and on about needing to get divorced, and my one friend who was there told him he should, since it would be better for him and their 2 sons not to be in this mess anymore. He looked us straight in the eye and said that if he did get divorced he probably would not have much to do with his boys after that. We just both looked at him in shock, waiting to see if he was joking or not. But he wasn't. Found out later he had pretty much done the same thing when he divorced his first wife. He raised her sons for 10 or 12 years as their stepdad. And as soon as they split he told them not to ever come around his place again, even though they had always had a good relationship before that. That really showed us what kind of arsehole the guy was. The stress of living with his nut job wife ended up killing him at 50-year-old, by the way. I knew a girl who got arped by her boyfriend of about 2 years. I was great friends with both of them. And I only found out a few years afterwards. I still talk to her. But I've cut off every ties to the guy because I've been hearing more about how he's a shfed. Both grandfathers were SS officers. I am part of a university committee that arranges campus events for charity. Earlier this year we hosted a music festival that was quite successful. We all celebrated afterwards and got all the leftover booze. Students write SMH. Anyway, one of the guys on the committee, who I considered my friend, told me that he is part of a secret organization. A well-known racist organization that believes in social justice. They're pretty f'd up. They claim to protect people living on farms. But really most of them just beat up black people. South Africa. I didn't believe him. But he proved me wrong. He led me to his car where he showed me his uniform. They have ranks. And it was unmistakably genuine. I was surprised. Totally disgusted and no longer wished to be friends with this guy. I had been dating a guy for about 7 months when he confessed that he habitually blew his brother throughout high school. The pastor of a very large downtown church revealed to me, in strict confidence, the name of the anonymous organ donor who contributed several $1 million for a new pipe organ. To my surprise, the organ donor was a man who groused endlessly about how loud the old organ was during services. Yet he gave a new instrument that was nearly triple the size of the previous one. And seemed to love it when the musician played with all the stops out. Organ donor. That she had 4 abortions between junior and senior year. She told us when she learned she was pregnant again and considering a 5th abortion. The other day I met with a friend I haven't seen since primary school. He told me that him and a boy in his class would sneak to the toilet together to test out their sexuality and were having an LSX at the age of 10. This might have been pretty normal as my friend doesn't always will be gay. However, the guy he used to sneak off with was from the strictest Muslim family I've ever come across and now leads a homophobic Facebook page. To think this went on for about 4 years makes me wonder. My friend had been seeing a married man. Someone told me he let a girl put a bag over his head while she FK'd him. She rode him till she came and then hopped off. Asked if the bag could stay on until she drove away. He was serious. Had a friend tell me that his now ex-wife and their friend gave him a tandem blowjob. That was surprising. Would never have expected that from him. A girl in high school once told me she had a SZL relationship with her twin sister. When my dad revealed he really worked for the CIA, I didn't believe him. He didn't look anything like 007 and had lots of nondescript, middle-aged friends. He drove me right into CIA headquarters. Then I believed him. Customers at my job, a married couple, told me how they're making homemade PRN so he doesn't have to get another real job and he can stay home to take care of her crazy ass. He's 50-ish. She's 25-ish. They've been together for several years and have 2 kids. She's gorgeous. He's absolutely not. He frequently talks about her mental health issues, mostly depression related, like she isn't even standing right beside him. It just has this strange tone to it. Like if you were talking about your dog. When she comes in without him, she seems very capable of taking care of herself just fine. I worked in a jail as a correctional officer for a year. One inmate who was absolutely loony told me he was secretly Jesus. I was pretty honored to have, secretly, met Christ. But then again he also told me he was real deal Super Saiyan just like those guys on Dragon Ball Z. A girl I wanted to date told me she had a son. Raised him to 5 then gave him for adoption. We still dated afterwards. Out at a bar with 2 dudes I wasn't very close with. It was a Thursday and there's this drag show that goes down at the local gay bar. I love gay bars and drag shows. So when one of them brought it up it surprised me but I was totally down for it. We start to pay our tabs and ditch the rest of the group. But while we're in limbo the one dude talks about how he was a stripper at a gay bar. The other admits that he was one. 2. Then the guy says he eventually turned to doing drag because the money was better. The other dude admits he, 2. had followed the same exact path. Here I sat in between 2 dudes that did drag once. My mind was blown. I knew the one dude was bi. And the other had heavy metal wigs but if you looked at these guys you'd never expect that they did this or even had this, if anything, in common. Guy I used to work with told me he banged a girl with Downs. There is a girl I am good friends with. I never really touched her, friendly touches. But I wanted to become more than friends with her. We were at a large local amusement park. And I bought us both cotton candy. We sat on the bench and we joked around and ate. She, jokingly, said that I should wear cotton candy as clothes. And I gave her a friendly shove and said hell no. She started tearing up and sniffling all of a sudden. And I asked her what's wrong. She was sexually abused by her father. Brother tried to kill her with a knife and he beats her a lot. She leaned into my chest and started crying harder. I never knew this about her. And I was shocked. We were 14. I talked to her and calmed her down. And she gave me a kiss and a long hug. I'm dating her now. And we touch each other more often now. I never knew how well people could hide strong emotions like that. During the days of AIM a very close friend of mine came out to me. Unfortunately I had a seizure a few hours earlier and just arrived home from the hospital when I saw some of his messages on AIM. He hadn't outright said it, but was hinting at it. We sent several messages back and forth. I was still really confused and wasn't even really sure what was going on. After about an hour he said he had to leave and he wasn't sure what was wrong with me but I clearly don't understand what he's trying to say. I'm not sure why but I didn't tell him I had a seizure only a few hours prior to our conversation. When I woke up the next day I decided to check out the chat log BC he was clearly distressed about something and I was too FK'd up to know what he was trying to tell me. I reread the chat log and it finally hit me. Oh. He's trying to tell me that he's gay. I was really surprised because I had known him for 15 years and never once thought he was gay.